NoSo instant reaction. JT here. We are reacting to the WrestleMania 40 kickoff special from Las Vegas. Last night, Cody Rhodes decides to finish the story. He chose to take on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. The Rock not happy. Is he joining the Bloodline? Where's Seth Rollins following all this? Is this settled? Ryan Gray, what are your instant thoughts coming off that special?
I thought it was really good. I thought it was super fun. Of course, there's holes in it. If you want to follow the breadcrumbs, it's not perfect, but I think for what they laid out, it could be really good. And I think it's better than where we are last weekend, of course. So overall, I think it's a very strong positive coming out of it.
All right, Chad, what's your instant thoughts coming off of that?
Yeah, my thoughts after last night's thing is the actual destination seems pretty solid, but the journey to get there, I'm left a little flabbergasted by some of the decisions, and then also just where that leads long term. I think that's the main thing, because I mean, obviously, like if Cody and Roman wrestle at WrestleMania, which we think they will now, I mean, I would put it at a very high percentage Cody wins, like 95%. And then so now you're probably crowning, your new ace, and he'll be working more than Roman does. So there's a lot of long-term implications, I think, with him and with Rollins, honestly, too, with what we saw yesterday.
Do you think it's a mistake to have Reigns lose this close to breaking Hogan's record and becoming like the guy all time, etc.?
I mean, there was ways they could have got out of this. If they just wanted to do that tag match, they could have done that. That's part of the thing I'm a little perplexed about. Like Cody winning the Rumble, they didn't have to do that. If Cody wins the Rumble, he's got to challenge Reigns, and he's got to finish his story. Like it makes zero sense for him to, for me to do anything else. Like I don't want to hear about Rollins having the working man's belt and all this stuff. Like they didn't necessarily say it wasn't versus Reigns. I mean, after last year, I mean, I still think in hindsight they should have just had him win last year. Like that was fine. You could still say that Reigns had this long title reign. I mean, I don't think saying like it beat Hogan. I mean, if he beats Hogan, congratulations. He doesn't defend the title hardly any. It's just an arbitrary thing that they could say. And yeah, they're great at like hammering that point. If anything showed yesterday, it was WWE as a PR machine can be because the first 50 minutes of that yesterday was nothing. It was just, we're pumping out the brand and everything else in of itself. So they're good at that, and you'll remember that because they'll hammer it home. But it doesn't matter. I mean, Reigns is who he is now. Like this is his peak run. It's his peak run. He's done elevated himself. He went from a guy that kept like not being able to, always getting his legs cut out from under him or whatever, to now he's up there, obviously, in that upper echelon in WWE history, but he's never going to be Hogan or Austin unless something really changes. I mean, business is hot right now, but he's never going to reach that level. So him beating Hogan just doesn't automatically mean like, okay, like it's 1980.
Yeah, and they already sacrificed Cody once last year for a milestone, right? They wanted to get Reigns to the 500 days or whatever it was, right? Last year they want to do that, so we did that. Ryan, in your mind, is Cody? Is he the right guy to strap up to have him end this run and be the face of WWE going forward? Is this the accurate choice?
Yeah, I think the timing is now. I think last year wasn't.
I'm not asking about the timing. I'm saying, is he the guy?
Well, I think
Are you building your promotion around him? Of anyone on that roster right now, they're putting it on him. Forget Reigns, all right? So Reigns is safe. I'm telling you, Reigns is losing no matter what in Philly. Is Cody your pick right now to be the face of WWE going forward?
And I think in the last year, I think he's proven that. Yes, it's his time. It's ready to go. He's been the champ the whole year uncrowned, pretty much. He's led all the house shows, closed all the shows, done all the PR, been on all the posters already. He's the guy before the guy. The audition, he passed the audition. And with Reigns, this historical title reign, it had to be the guy you had to feel and know. So I think Cody has proven that.
The crowd loves him. There's no denying it. Like, you and I were at SmackDown in Providence. I mean, it's a small sample size, but no one touched his pop, not even Punk. I mean, no one touched Cody's pop. I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody with his credibility, with his weird
Work
way of
ethic.
connecting is like an everyman, but also, I mean, he's like his dad, I guess, in a way, right? He has like a natural charisma and connection to the crowd. He's got the WWE legacy, right? He came up through their promotion, through the developmental. Everyone loves his dad. Like everything is there in place for him to be the guy. And he does the little things that Cena always did, right? Charity stuff, like, he can go on any talk show you want. You can put him in front of everyone. And that's going to be important with Endeavor. It was important with Vince, but it's going to be important with Endeavor, right? To have a face of the company that can go do these things. You're going to have them tied in with UFC. You want a guy that looks kind of credible and that can talk and that, isn't like cartoonish, right? So they're going to want that too. And I think Cody brings all that. And we said this in 2007, right? When he did that Hall of Fame speech for his dad, like everyone pegged this guy as like a future star. And here we are. We're here. It's time to pull the trigger. I'm with Chad. I do think they probably should have did it a year ago because you're so over it. But their patience, I think, did pay off. I think he stayed over. He's just as over now as he was then, but you have to do it now. There's no way around it. You have to do it, right, Chad?
Yeah, I think it's a testament to him. And you could throw in booking there that last year when he lost, it was like, good God, like what a moment to choke. And now it's like another year. Like that's, I was even listening to your and Aaron's reaction, Justin, and I agreed at the time. It's like, man, you can't go a whole nother year. And they have, and he's at least as over, probably more now, which is amazing. I think he's definitely the guy. So it looks like that's settled for night 2 then. To me, that leads the question we got coming out of this. Well, one quick thing about Cody. I want somebody to explain, and I don't know if we'll get it. I think WWE, this is where they're faltering a little bit on the booking side, is we're getting these matches. Like I say, the destination works, but the logic getting to that is a little shaky because I have no idea now why Cody, 6 days ago on SmackDown was like, oh, I'm not facing you was he drugged by Rock when he consulted to him? Like, what?
I don't think it's the most crazy thing though to say like, okay, you're at work, right? You're a professional, whatever. Someone talks to you about maybe going to look at another job. Like maybe he just got in his head, it's the Rock, the greatest of all time. And maybe he's a smooth, I think they could spin it in a way like, Rock now is like this, like kind of slimy bastard who's like was trying to use his power to overpower Rhodes. Maybe he like kind of hinted that he, had to do it because of the board stuff. And then Cody thought about it, and he said, I had a lot of conversations over the last week and I've come to my senses. So I think they can retcon it. We know the real reason, right? Is that Rock pulled the power play. They were going to do Rock Roman and the reaction I think was so strong. I don't think this was planned right away. But they did lean into it quickly. So I don't know. Maybe it was the plan for the last.
Yeah, I think what we got was the plan. I'm leaning more towards they thought, and this is a little bit of a different build. I think that Rock and Gerwertz or whatever in early January when he came on board, they kind of storyboarded out this unique. They booked the T-Mobile, so like just the way that happened yesterday was unique and different. I think they wanted something different. I just don't know. I mean, as a unique concept, I like it. I don't know if the execution is all the way
guess
there.
Is it's going to be one of those things that gets washed over and forgotten. Like if Cody wins and the moment's great and the match is great, like it's gonna be like WrestleMania 30, right? You kind of remember Daniel Bryan on the cage, but you don't really remember those weeks in between. Like you kind of do, but not really. But everyone remembers the moment at 30 when he won and his crowning achievement. Like, and even I don't want to say it, but Benoit 20, like the build was kind of shaky getting him there. They made the stupid 3-way with Shawn, but the match was an all-time classic, the moment until what happened later. So I think as long as they nail like the final weeks going into Mania and that night, like I don't think anyone's going to even remember this. Honestly.
Yeah, I think 17's actually the best call for that. I was thinking about that because you had Deborah as Rock's manager. Like that is a singular build from No Way Out to WrestleMania 17 is not that great. But yeah, your memory is just My Way, the video that they cobbled together, and then the match itself.
Yeah, so I think they can do that again.
Perhaps I think we're overlooking the afterwards with the Triple H part where Rock and Roman are together and they kind of roll up on Triple H and said, that's bullshit. You got to fix this. And Triple H is like, well, you guys got out of line. I think they can kind of put that little loose hole with the Triple H side of it, saying maybe the Rock overused his power on a Triple H aspect kind of thing. It's a little muddy. It's a little shooty. but I think there's definitely a lane there due to that post interview with Triple H.
And watching how that played out, I mean, so we can transition quick to the Rock. So I want to cover that. I think we're all good on Cody Roman. I think we know where we're going. Okay, so Rock, I would say a week ago, most people were like, "F this guy," right? Like I mean, a bomb lately with everything he's doing, and just another miss by the Rock. But then you see that glimpse to me in that like 15 minutes last night, and it's like, this is the freaking Rock like we remember and want, and everyone remembers him because he was such a likable, bankable star for a while, but he made his name, made his wrestling bones as just being a prick heel, right? And everyone remembers Hollywood Rock as their favorite Rock. He's just a natural asshole, and he's so good in that role. And you saw it last night, like with him smacking Cody, him stepping up to him like about the family. Our family's the one true family, which was a great dig of the McMahons, I think, by him. We're the real royal family of wrestling history. And then him, like the way Reigns, and I think it's wonderful because at its core, I think the whole thing with this whole Bloodline story has shown Reigns is not really a guy who can stand on his own. And I don't think they've hid from that. He acts like he's the head of the table, but Heyman's really kind of driving the bus in his ear. He's always had the Usos. He's never been a guy to like stand up and be like, I am the freaking leader. So I think him immediately deferring to The Rock as like this legendary head, the real head of the tribal chief, is like, I thought that was like a cool touch. And I think Rock naturally slotting in as like the manipulator of the bloodline with like Roman suddenly doing his bidding will be way more interesting than Rock is. It's like a face contender to fight Roman to prove that it's really his. Like them aligned to me is way more interesting, and Rock is way better as a douchebag heel.
Yeah, I think from actuality standpoint, and this is why I do think like whatever they're going towards with Rock's involvement, whether it's tag match, special enforcer, whatever, I think it was set in stone before because how quickly you had the "We Want Cody" hashtag from the pertinent people like Logan Paul thrown out there. And then, I mean, Rock on McAfee yesterday saying like the Cody crybabies. Like once he says that, which is pretty funny. Once he throws that out there, he's going full heel. Like he's leaning into that. I thought.
Well, I don't think anyone expected this piece. I don't know. Like it felt like he was being like the corporate jerk, but like maybe it was just me. I didn't piece together him like being the bloodline guy like until last night when he put the tree up and all of a sudden him and Reigns immediately like were agreeing. Even as they're fighting, they're like showing respect and like, yeah, we're gonna fight at Mania, but they're dapping up and it's like, I think it clicked for both of them. Like, actually, we can just run this shit together instead.
Literal like bloodline, yeah. Blood pact or whatever. I mean, I think long term, I still think there'll be a Rock versus Roman match down the line. I think this sets up where Roman could be the face, where he stands on his own. That would be a good story to tell. I think in some ways it's I mean, I'll be interested to see how they do that because it does show that like, oh, during this historic title reign, he needed all this help.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, he evolves to that conquering babyface. You could kind of see The Rock upstage him this whole time. Feels like a bigger star.
He's gonna become Rock's bitch. This is the story I tell. He loses the belt to Cody, and Rock is like, "You lost focus. Like I'm in charge now. You're gonna listen to me, and we're gonna do this right." So, and if I'm doing this, I have Rock bring Jay back in, like against Roman's wishes. Like he goes and recruits Jay back into the family and Roman's. So you start to like he strips away Roman's power little by little. He meets with Heyman and leaves Roman out for dinner, right? Yep. Like all of a sudden he's like doing shit like that. He's in Hollywood with Heyman. Roman's not there. And then Roman eventually is like, all right, like I'm done. Maybe next year Rock wins one of the titles or who knows, right? And Roman Challenge. But I don't think you even need that. I think Rock slowly pushes him. And by next year at Mania, Roman is the face, turns against him and takes him down. Like that's the long term. If Rock is a fan of the long term story, like we've heard, right? That's the long term story. That's way more interesting to me now than Rock waiting a year to challenge for the.
I mean that developing out is something I would like to see, and you could definitely work that to where at 41 you could conceivably have Rock versus Roman and Cody versus Punk or somebody like that. Now you have two very strong main event.
Where do you see this leaning off in the meantime? Rock and Roman are obviously the new mega power heels bloodline together. Tease and Cody and Rollins kind of coming together. I like the Rollins stepping up when Cody was pushed back and stalled her. It made Rollins.
Do you think that made Cody look weak? Because that's a talking point for some out there.
Well, you get slapped in the face. He was off guard, and then instantly you see Triple H and Pierce.
Guy gets off guard a lot. He consults with Rock. He's off guard. He gets slapped in the face.
He's Sting, right? Like he's
very aloof guy.
But he's Sting, right? He's a trusting guy, and he's like a good guy, and you're not expecting it at all times. Sting got screwed a million times, and he was always
you're in the WWE, buddy. Let's be alert here.
But I do think that Cody is the ultimate winner here at the end of the day. Long term, Roman is the ultimate winner because he has a transition to kind of become that face of the company, baby face, whatever, that he failed at before. And then The Rock is the ultimate winner in the current, as he's not going to be fully rejected from a meta standpoint. He's going to be fully rejected from a character standpoint. So it's just overall solid, straight ahead angle now. And they're kind of skating in the right direction, in my opinion. And then you got Rollins hanging out there, and him just being associated with it is good for him, even though he's silly, goofy, and looks so out of place to start that yesterday.
Yeah, he's just a problem. Like, I don't know.
He's going to throw him right in it.
Well, the way they handle him doesn't help, but he doesn't give himself any favors either. I mean, as someone that personally has about 50 embarrassing shirts that I wear in my, if it's my time and, I'm going on vacation, that's fine. But look, dude, if it's like a job interview or a wedding or something important, like, dress the part, and you saw like everybody else on that stage, like Rock had his like action hero outfit on. Cody looked like the professional in the suit. Reigns had his track suit, the athlete or whatever, the elite athlete, and then you got him with that sunglasses, green suit, and whatever the hell those shoes were, which were terrible. And then he's getting clowned on. So I don't know about him. I think that was
a highlight. Was Reigns? I mean, Reigns ripping on him.
On SmackDown, he already said he was wearing his wife's clothes for 2 years. Then he said he's wearing his wife's shoes. Like, them two together is an interesting dynamic because Shooter
or whatever we call them, right? Or whatever. It's like,
I don't think they're going to be like the best friends at each other's wedding anytime soon from a real shoot standpoint, but. I don't know what to do with him because he actually, to me, had been gaining momentum in his promos. Like, his promo work had been the strongest I think it's been because his delivery for me has never worked just from his cadence and his all right, that voice he has and always grates at me. Yeah, let it out. This is always cartoon. But what he'd been saying had been true, and I think he'd been gaining some goodwill. But where he slides in, I think he's important because, you will have Cody working.
I think you got to protect
him too.
Yeah, we were talking about it a bit. Like, I think night one you do the super tag, right? And as someone mentioned in one of our chats that, like, I don't think it was a coincidence that Hunter mentioned the WrestleMania 1 tag team main event, right? So I could see a scenario for sure where night one is the super tag team match, The Rock, and this is The Rock's in-ring match, him and Roman versus Cody and Seth. Cody Roman main events night 2. And then I would have Seth. I've been saying it a million times. I think Gunther should destroy Seth on night 2. And you can have Seth get banged up by maybe Rock or Reigns beats the shit out of him in the match or after the match and fucks his knee up.
His character.
And then Gunther just squashes him. And then you can tell a good story with Rollins coming back, almost like a little bit of Rocky Clubber Lang thing where he's going to work his way back up to a rematch with Gunther or whatever you want to do from there. But I think if you leave Mania with Rock and Reigns as the bloodline, Cody defeating Reigns clean to close the night, and Gunther as the other world champion, you're like in a really strong position now coming out of that. And if Seth was kneecapped a little bit in this, Gunther is not in any way, right? So if he wins that, and if he doesn't lose the IC belt, to me, I don't care if he puts anyone over. I would have him forfeit that belt. They can do a tournament. They love doing tournaments now and all this other shit. So have him forfeit the IC belt, and he becomes your world champion on night 2. And those are your 2 big crownings to end that night. The new era with Endeavor and The Rock and everything. You're coming out with those 3 things. You've won. Plus Becky versus Rhea. Bayley gets her world title as she deserves. Like, I think that's like a real feel-good Mania, in place right now.
Yeah, the card could feel really strong. If you have Jay versus Jimmy too, that flows in where they have a nice brutal match. kind of like the Owen and Davey stuff in 1997 that we're watching, where them being brought back together would be interesting. I think
it feels like a Saturday night's main event, that night one main event of WrestleMania, but just do it all at WrestleMania. I'm good with that. I don't think Rock and Roman at WrestleMania would have worked with Cody and Roman. That's too many big Roman matches. That's too much
Rock. I don't know if he's ready to do a big solo
There's too much
match.
story
like
there that they're cashing in on.
And in the tag, you can protect him, right? He can wait. Rock can kind of be on the air. He doesn't have to go 20 minutes with his cardio. He can just come in, hit the big spots, dictate Roman around a little bit, right? And then Roman can even blame Rock. Like maybe Rock makes this tag match because he needs his moment. And Roman's like gassed for night 2 a little bit. And he's like, well, you ran me ragged on night 1. You put me in this position. That can start their tension a little bit right out of the gate.
I'm interested to see how much Rock is involved. Seems like he's going to be pretty involved. I think
he's Rock, be a full on-screen character.
Yeah. I think Rock versus Roman and Cody Roman could have worked if this was a one-all for the Rock, because then you have him, do his feud. They do that on night 1. Who cares? You do that on night 1. Rock takes the loss. Then you move on to Cody beating him. But now, I mean, the way it was set up yesterday, like Cody versus Rock felt like it had a lot of heat. To where they could do that down the road if Rock's body. We'll see. Last 2 times
that's a big question. Yeah, that's why I think the tag makes a lot of sense, because he could probably do it with like 8 minutes of total work, right? Yeah, And Cody and Seth are both obviously, whatever the misgivings maybe, they're both very strong professionals. Like they can work a match around that and make it entertaining and make it work. There'll be enough bells and whistles to carry it. So. All right, Ryan, any final thoughts leaving it? Did you like this? I liked the presentation of the show last night. I think that's something they should do more of. They're going to do more of. That's a very UFC type thing, right? They do those weigh-ins and those press conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think you're going to see more of those. I think we had a false start on like the Vince free era in 2022, but I think it really feels that way now to me. Like some of the stuff they were mentioning last night, name dropping wrestlers that weren't even around or going to be around, and Sasha Banks and even AJ Lee. I know Edge here now, but like stuff like that, and just the overall nods that they do within it. To me, it definitely feels like it is a full on, really new era, a McMahon free era, and it's exciting in ways, right? But it felt that way to me, and shows like that screamed it last night. Like that to me, even the way Cole was talking, like everything this feels completely different to me.
Yeah, I love Punk on commentary. I love Big E on commentary.
Big
I love
was
Matt.
awesome. Yeah.
I thought
like Big E?
Punk.
Well, Big E was great. I think
Big E was great.
If he can't come back in the ring, they got to make him an announcer. Like
awesome. I mean, who knows with his neck? Right.
Yeah, I felt like the whole thing worked. I liked the vibe of it. Of course, it was a little long, but at an hour and 20 minutes, it's whatever. If you're tuning in at the end, just fast forward and get to the meat of it. But overall, I love the presentation. I love the look. Everyone felt bigger, looked bigger, and coming out of it, Cody might have been slapped in the face and looked like a bitch, but I think ultimately he's the biggest winner of this whole last Royal Rumble.
He took the Rock's. He stepped up to the Rock and said, "I'm taking your spot." So to me, like whether he gets slapped or not, to me that makes him come off strong. Where he's like, "Fuck you! I don't care if you're on the board. I don't care if you're a Hall of Famer. I'm taking your Mania match, and you can't do anything about it." Like to me, that is what made Cody right there. Is that he stepped to his face and said, "I'm taking your match."
His whole story has been he's been pushed back and he's fighting back, so it makes sense.
Chad, any final thoughts?
I thought the concept was good. I think it shows maybe even more non-Vince, non-Kevin Dunn. I think you've seen a lot of that, especially like featuring guys that are, on AEW now. That because you can't. I mean, like you may want to forget some guys that are in your history past, but I think it's stupid how they have in the past just completely erased others. So that was good. I like the concept. I think they could work out some of the presentation stuff. For me, like the first 45 minutes was really draggy just because I felt like it was a promotional piece. But overall, I think it was successful. I
think they was hoping for some new eyes and whatever else on it, probably, and trying to learn, help learn what's going on in the company as a reset.
If you're a media member, like actual credit, I mean, I guess at this point they know what they should have expected, but I was like, all right.
All right. So listen, we're gonna have a ton more WrestleMania stuff on NoSo, on our YouTube channel, and on our podcast audio channel as well. We're gonna have a lot of previews. We're gonna have some special countdown stuff going on. Of course, Ryan, you and I right now are going through every WrestleMania match ever, all 402 of them. We're ranking those. They're under 1 minute or less. They're on TikTok. They're on YouTube Shorts, Instagram, and Facebook. So check that out. Subscribe. Like I said, we're going to have a lot more debate and conversation and preview like this, plus Fallout, plus all of our other content. So everyone take care. WrestleMania season is here, and we'll talk to you soon.